Let's see. Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. And I want to say a big welcome to Manuela. So I'm just
Hello.
going to introduce her a little. Manuela is a spiritual awakening teacher, QiGong practitioner, and healer. And with a background in physiotherapy, reiki, shamanic healing, working with crystals, Manuela has dedicated the last 2 years fully immersed in pursuit of spiritual growth. I want to say, like, wow. And her mission is to share the spiritual awareness, demystifying spirituality, guiding people on their fulfillment, love, joy, abundance of all that life has to offer. And her purpose is to help people to forge a deep connection with their inherent powers and unique life purpose. So I'm so thrilled to have you here. Hello, Manuela.
Hello, Kathy. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so I want to share that Manuela and I met. Well, actually, we met online, haven't we? We've
Yeah, it's been a while.
school and practices and things like that, but I never actually met Manuela in person until our Qigong practice actually brought us together. And so that's actually what I want to share and have Manuela share today in our chat. What is this thing called Qigong, and how is it actually helping people like us as practitioners and light workers? Like, what does that actually do? So tell us a little bit of how you came across Qigong. Like, how did you find it?
Um, well, it was quite interesting because I was not interested in Qigong at all. Qigong for me was something, people would do in the park, those weirdos standing there, waving their arms, who knows what they do. It
Yep.
was completely off my radar. And then a friend said, "Wow, there's this amazing Qigong teacher. We need to go." And he works with energy, intrinsic energy, and healing. And I thought, "Oh, Qigong and healing, that doesn't really have anything to do with each other. And energy and Qigong doesn't have anything to do with each other." But sure, if he's so great, let's check him out. And then the training, literally the first day, blew my mind already. It was not what I expected. Like I was expecting, breathing, moving, hands and stuff. It was not like this at all. It was literally, yeah, energy work. Obviously, coming
Yeah.
from a shamanic background, I had experience with, working with past lives, entities, all of that stuff.
Mm.
And then, yeah, going into the Qigong was just, I guess, another way of giving me enough energy to do that work, but also to become aware of the energy that is happening on the different levels and bring the
Mm.
energy into the physical to manifest, to actually influence the physical body, to influence the environment, outcomes, everything. So it was like this big
Yeah.
awakening, I guess, big opening where I thought, holy moly, that's Qigong? Like, surely that's not
Yeah.
Qigong.
Well, interesting that you should say that. And coming from, I guess, someone who has done some, movements and Qigong that has more form, right? Like, so I studied Qigong, well, a few years ago. And probably my interest really was on the difference in the movements and embodiment. And look, I still move quite a bit in other practices, but I did want to get into that inner alchemy, like how do we actually cultivate this chi? So definitely, as someone whose qigong is probably in my heritage, I did also think, oh, are we going to be learning some forms? And so exactly what you said of wait a second, like there's nothing to do with that kind of qigong with movement. It's literally how do we bring more energy into our field. And you mentioned the shamanic work as well. So, and I think I've asked you a few questions about this. So when we tune into things shamanically, right? So the past lives, seeing people's emotions and inner child and all of these things, how would you describe what level of energy or what level we're accessing when we're using the way that we learned, how to tap into our shamanic site? Like, how would you describe it now that you have some comparison even?
Yeah, it's interesting that you asked that, because it took me a while to sort of like figure that out as well, and work it out. Um, and the way I would say is, I guess when you work on a shamanic level, you work just with lower levels of spiritual energy. And for me, I see it that way. For example, you would say, a child that goes to first grade at school has a mathematics teacher and learns mathematics there. And the same child goes then to high school and still has a mathematics teacher to learn math there. And then the same child goes to university, and again, it's the same type of teacher where you learn maths from, but it's just a different level. But it depends where the child is. So the person, if you send the child from primary school to university with the mathematics teacher, it won't work. And so that's how I see it with on the shamanic level. You just work with the sort of like the same energy, but on a different level, on a different scale. So you're not going as deep as you go. Like, just to give you an example, like this week I had somebody who got into the way of a sorceress and got some energy put onto her. And in the past, I removed, black magic, spells, curses, stuff like this on a shamanic level. And this time, obviously, with, the Qigong and the hermetic energy, I had other tools. And what I found, the energy shifted very quickly. If you invite an entity in or a deity in, it's just another level. But it's also, what I found, another level of cost. Like, I was really like 2-3 hours, I was just knocked out after. And that was for me a big reflection as well. I thought, oh my God, wow, that cost me a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we definitely are going to cover that, the cost, right? The cost of energy work, which is why we need to do Qigong. So we're going to circle back to that. What I want to go deeper into, we said, okay, so it depends what level the child is learning mathematics. And when I came also into, let's say week 1 of this Qigong training, I felt like I was the child that had to forget all the math that I learned because I wasn't even sure if it was right, and then re-look at the foundation of learning math. Like, that's, if we're going to use a math analogy, to me, it almost felt like when I started to learn energy work, whether it was Reiki or, shamanic training, I felt like I actually maybe skipped a little bit of grade 1 and went straight over here. And so there were some foundational things that probably, we don't know what's missing until you find it, right? But that's what I felt in the first week. It was like, oh, I must have skipped, something in preschool. And maybe we have this thrill of we skipped a grade or whatever, just, continuing to play with this analogy. But the foundational thing that I felt like I missed was really, really connecting to the feeling, right? It was really connecting to the kinesthetic sense, really understanding things in a very visceral, embodied way. And even though I'm sure that many of us already have, our clear senses, clear seeing, clear hearing, and all of those things. And that was the whole thing of, oh, I can have access to that. So coming in at, grade 3, let's say, because I felt like I didn't have the foundational thing of what was actually happening in the body, like week 1 of Qi really dragged me back down to that foundation of, okay, so let's give some more language into what kind of tingling in the body. How big is the field? Where are the gaps and things? It was like really coming back to whatever, grade 1, where I needed to start. And so I found that particularly helpful as an energy worker. And, through the other side of it, I did realize I didn't have to throw all the math out. It was really just connecting some dots and realizing, oh, this is the path, as opposed to jumping here and jumping here. And what I realized at the end is, everything kind of integrates and comes into this bigger picture perspective in our perception and in our awareness of things. Did you also find that? Like, I know you've had, lots of other kinds of training as well. Did you find that coming back to an embodied way of feeling and really sensing through that understanding, did that really build on some foundational aspects of energy work for you?
It's in some sense it did. Like I had the feeling as well, should I throw everything out? Do I have to learn everything new? And I felt like, oh my God, it was like so much, like as you said, from grade 1 to grade 10 or whatever. I'm missing those steps. Um, but then what I found as well, and that got told by other people and by other teachers as well, they always say you have your own unique path, and everything that you've learned and experienced is part of your unique path. And it's not that they teach this is the way you have to do it. It's like they are giving you, they are connecting you to the truth, because it's also in accordance to the Hermetic framework. So you work under the cosmic laws, the universal laws, and you're getting aligned to that. And whatever your unique path is, you're literally getting it put into you, and you're getting aligned to the truth. And then it's sort of almost like up to you to work out this yeah, the fine print, so to say.
Yeah.
But also it's like, yeah, it's I guess it's sort of a process of not black and white or how it should be. Or yeah, I had this very often as well. Oh, I should feel this, why I'm not feeling this? And then Hank would always say to me, "Oh, just relax, whatever it is, it is. Like if you don't feel it, you don't feel it. If you feel it that way, you feel it that way. Like that's just perfect the
Yeah.
way it is. Like have play more with it. Don't take it so serious." And I still have to remind myself of this every now and then too.
Wow. I mean,
Yeah.
if you remember our training, like I was constantly there and, shadows coming up all the time. It's like, nah, I don't feel that. Nah, I don't see that. And everyone in the room, and just for
Yeah.
context, were how many? One, two, three, at least 3 or 4 of us in the room. And I was most junior in learning, this Qigong. And I was just getting reflected back to me that, oh, everyone else is perceiving 10 layers up, everyone else is seeing and invoking these beautiful beings of light. And I'm like, okay, I didn't think what's wrong with me, but it was more like, wow, I must like not perceive anything. Like I don't know anything. And so all of those small seedlings of shadows, in my
Mm.
belief system of what the F was I doing before? Because now I come into this new training and I'm like, not even in kindergarten yet. I'm in like preschool. And seeing everyone's, like how gifted they are being reflected to me. And I guess my takeaway to that is, no matter where we are in the spectrum, Manuela in grade 10, Katara, whatever grade I'm at, it's like we're always going to probably feel some level of our evolution path, aren't we? Like we don't want to stay stagnant. We always want to be moving towards something and knowing that there is a moreness to perceive. Like, how do we understand and integrate all of this infinite wisdom, right? Like it never stops. I know that you probably think that, like, otherwise you wouldn't have been on this journey dedicated for 2 years. Is that right?
Yeah, it was just fascinating for me, where I thought, well, there can't be more. And then it was just another level and another like deeper understanding and another connection, and especially with the psychic abilities as well, like having the abilities to, it was literally just like ramping up, where, in one practice I thought, well, that was like the best ever.
Mhm.
And then you do another practice and it just gets topped up. And
Yeah.
I guess the benefit like you had in the training with people that have already more experience is that even it might be uncomfortable because you're just getting like flooded with light. So a lot of, I guess you have to work through your stuff a bit faster.
Thanks for that.
But I'm sure you could handle it. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been there. So the universe wouldn't have put you there to accelerate like speedy. But also because you're getting exposed to those energies around you, yeah, you're getting some of those energies as well. Like it will enhance all your abilities, and that's what I found as well. Yeah,
Yeah, so
just
the
depending.
enhancing of abilities. So this is you know, one of the things, like because we pull in so much more with summoning, creating, you know, harnessing, whatever word works for you, we're bringing in so much more chi, so much more energy. It really does amplify, and it amplifies, you know, whatever you're directing your energy to as well. So if you were directing it towards psychic abilities, which, you know, I'm working on right now, if you're directing it towards being clear on your life path, that will get amplified. And as you said as well, you know, like sometimes the shadows also get amplified because so much light is coming in. It really will highlight all the things that you need to look at, all the belief patterns. And I mean, I went through 21 days straight, right, of like
I know.
minimum 3 hours a day being flooded with, you know, all the light and all the energy, you know, moving. Like, of course something is going to happen. And so tell me, how do you think it's actually changed your perspective of, or changed your practice as an energy healer, as a shamanic healer or a light worker, or whatever phrase you resonate with? Like, what has that changed in your actual practice and delivery in your service work?
It changed my awareness on, I guess, how, I don't know, how the universe, how the cosmos, how everything works. Um, and also on how much power we have on, you know, obviously we have our path, but when we are aligned to our path, we just know the truth and we know what's right and wrong. And yeah, it just reminded me, like, it really, not reminded, but it literally reinforced the power that I have in creating my own path and creating my own reality. And also when I do, I haven't done during that time, I haven't done many healings on purpose. Because I wanted to work out a way, how do I integrate this into the shamanic work and with the hermetics, and how do I do this now? But what I found is I just, yeah, I'm very aware of who I connect with in terms of energies that I bring in, because everything costs energy. So everything, if I invoke the Sun Buddha, hey deity, like it literally costs me a lot. If I work with, you know, your spirit guides or your soul family, it will cost me much less. So I'm, yeah, very much aware of this, and also who can do what in terms of solving things, that it doesn't need to take an hour to remove a spell or a curse. You just, it goes very quick. But we also have to consider the karmic implementations and all of that stuff. So yeah, it just, I guess, broadened my awareness of our capabilities as this spiritual being in that physical body, that our physical body needs energy, which we can get from, you know, the breathing, the prana, the chi, to be able to, yeah, go further.
Yeah, I found that as well. Yeah, and we'll do a little light language and perception just so people
Ooh,
can
thanks.
experience that as well. I always love doing it with Manuela because she's so psychic and clairvoyant. She can actually see all the energies. Whereas for me, it's sometimes it's a knowing, but sometimes it's like I don't even know, right? So Qigong also helps with, as you said, that alignment to that path. So because it's like that overarching signal to connect to universal truth, that's the beacon that we're always connecting to. So when you know that you're on that, which is what I'm saying for myself, then you're connected to the light, and whatever streams through, you have this trust that, okay, at least if I don't know consciously what's exactly happening, I know it's under that path of light and that path of truth. So we talked about things costing energy, and this is particularly relevant and, super critical. And I found it even more critical now since, starting to learn energy work was years ago. But no one told me that it actually cost me energy. No one actually said you need to train the energy body the same way that you know that you have to go to the gym or whatever fitness you do to train your muscles. So if we're doing energy healing and energy work, why are we not actually training our energy body? Like, to me, it was like astounding
I
that
know,
we don't.
I know,
I know, but that's
I
that
know.
that's the returning to the foundations of the ABCs of energy work, right? And the thing is, I'm
It
sure that
is.
people, if people don't already know, everything in this universe is energy. It's just a matter of density, right? Like, this is so dense that it's come into matter, and then we have the more subtle energies that haven't come into that form, but everything costs energy. And so, as a practitioner, and Manuel, I want to hear your opinion. If you're channeling guides, as you said, depending on what level and layer, if you're asking or invoking energy to move, everything is costing us units of energy. So if we wake up with 100 units of energy, if we do nothing, yes, we're nourishing and inputting energy if we eat some food, for example, but everything else is costing energy. Everything else is going to deplete from that 100, right? You go and do your daily mundane chores, it costs you 10 units of energy. You're going to go to, I don't know, have a chat with a friend, socializing costs you energy. Then you have some healing sessions that cost you energy. So, like, your 100, not only is it not going to get replenished, but it just keeps going to zero and never goes above. Like, that's the simple analogy that I give. And I'm like, wow, so how do we actually bring more energy in so that we're starting at 100 plus and you deplete from there, rather than starting at a base and then actually dipping lower? Like, that's the analogy that I create to help me understand everything costs energy. So share a little bit more. Like, what is that revelation to you about things costing us and costing us energy? What does that look like to you on an average day?
Yeah, it's as you said, it's not only, the physical things that we do that cost energy, like walking or, whatever you do in your daily base. It's also, you use energy mentally. If you remember from uni or school, if you were doing some homework, you needed more sugar, or you ate more food. So the mental work costs you energy. Emotionally, your astral body needs energy as well. If you go through a heartache, or if you go some worries, like, it just drains your energy more, because the energy leaks out, it goes. So and on a physical level, so you have all those levels where you burn energy.
Very
um,
much.
and then you also have, for example, if you catch up with a friend for a coffee and your energy is very high, your energy tank is full, but hers is very low, naturally energy will, seek to balance. So this friend will feel great after you caught up, but you will feel drained. And so there is, yeah, it's just such a big topic where you give your energy away, or you take on other people's energy. If they tell you, your problems or sad stories or something, you're taking that on, and that eats your energy. And that's why I find it's really important with, I don't really want to call it Qigong, because for me, it's more energy Qigong, maybe.
Yeah,
Let's
I've
call it
started
that.
calling it energetic fitness. I feel
That's a good word,
it's
yeah.
energetic fitness.
And then, yeah, literally connecting to the life force, and literally bringing that in, because once once your organs start to deplete, you know, your kidneys start to deplete on energy, like eventually it will manifest in your physical body, in your organs, and problems will show up. So yeah, I do during the day. I always connect a few times to the life force and really bring that in, to really summon it, to fill me up, to like till I buzz. And sometimes it takes just as like little as like a few breaths. And other
Yeah.
times I'm there for 10 minutes, like pulling vital life force in. And I'm like, whoa, I'm really depleted now.
Mm.
um, but yeah, I can feel it. Like there's just so much more energy. And then obviously being aware of what connections I have, what is taking my energy mentally, emotionally, to not
Yeah.
let it drain out so much.
Mm. Yeah. And the foundational qigong, like, look, this is also to let our listeners know that, look, not every qigong practice is going to be blasting of energy. Okay, like the basics of qigong, basics of the qigong, and how to vitally breathe and bring it in. Look, it's not a difficult. It is not difficult. It is not easy, but it's not difficult. And I guess you bring it into your daily life. Like I was washing dishes and breathing into my body, right? It's like
Mm.
learning to understand the, again, universal laws, cosmic laws, because that's always going to be happening. You don't only need to be sitting in your sacred space for energy work to be happening. That's the reality. The energy and the other dimensions are all there. It's just a matter of, are you attuned to that? Are you paying attention, right? So I started vitally breathing any chance I could. Okay, I'm waiting in line somewhere. I'm just going to be a bit more
Exactly. Yeah.
conscious and breathe a little bit more,
Yeah.
and these couple of days I was starting to do a qigong course online. And man, the first training, which I only kept to 30 minutes, I think we did 3 rounds of 9 breaths. That's it. 3 rounds. More conscious vital breathing in 3 rounds of 9 breaths. And it was such a shift to the students. And I'm like, wow, can you imagine, you only did that for 3 times 9 breaths? Now sit there for 4 hours straight times 21 days. And then you can understand the intensity of the rate of transformation, of how things can happen. Yeah, so tell us a little bit about your practice. So how often do you practice qigong? What does your day look like of how qigong is integrated into your spiritual life now?
Well, basically, I do two, I would say, like two main practices. So, like, first thing when I get up in the morning, I do my practice, and that's usually an hour and a half. And then also before I go to bed. So, those are my core practices, they are there.
Yeah.
And then during the day, it depends if there is certain things I want to work on, or now I'm still in Thailand, so I'm sort of like, I have a week till I go, but I still train with Sifu Ludovic. So depending what we train, then if we do an hour or two of a certain practice, then I won't be training much. Then I do maybe just half an hour in the evening and that's me done.
Yeah.
um, Other days when we don't practice so much, I can do my own stuff, because obviously
Mhm.
with him, the energy exposure is just much stronger.
Mm.
But yeah, I always do throughout the day, just vital breathe, connect to the light as well. And yeah, to also become aware where I'm leaking energy.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. And so how do you think that it's informing? How do you think it's guiding you on your unique path of expression? Like, do you see, and I know we talked about it very briefly, but do you feel like your calling is to also start sharing Qigong more, like teaching it? Do you feel like it's still more healing? Like, how has that shifted how you're going to choose now to express all of this light in your embodiment?
I do feel like there is a strong calling in me to teach as well and to share. But I do feel more to go more into the psychic abilities. Obviously, the Qigong, the breathing vital life force will be a big part of it, will be the foundation, because you need energy. Especially, if you ask any medium that's in their 50s, 60s, they don't want to just check in what's going on, because they know it costs them energy. So I want to bring that foundation in to really always replenish your energy and monitor this and also feel it. But I feel I want to teach more, sort of like that, demystify spirituality. There's so much misconception and misunderstanding there. What is it? And about the psychic abilities as well. So I really want to shine some light on this, bring some awareness, and help people with the psychic abilities as well. And it's pretty easy for me, because I have the psychic abilities. So everybody that trains with me will just get that anyway. So
well, look, I love to open them more, expanding the levels of awareness. And I always, in my clear senses, I think the one that always was strongest for me is clear knowing. It's just, I don't know where the information comes from. It just drops in like that. I see past lives like that. I see people's blueprint in a way, like I just see the information, the potential that's there. And it's not because I read a book about their life. It's just there. So I always found it a bit tricky to trust it, especially in the beginning, because it's like, well, where does that information come from? So I think that's really important work to help people to demystify intuition and all of these psychic senses. So I did say that Manuela is very psychic and very clairvoyant. So I thought maybe we can do a little practice together. I know we've both, opened and started streaming light. And the purpose of, I guess, sharing this is, in a way, I'm showing and sharing a bit of my embodiment as it's still unfolding, which is streaming light, but streaming information that's coming through in ways that I don't even fully understand, So I'm using sound and, some toning, which I did connect to definitely in shamanic work. And in this language, sometimes it's the language that speaks to a much deeper connection within us. At least that's how I'm experiencing it. And so I find that it's a beautiful way to see how sounds, frequencies, energies, which are just using the medium of sound, using the medium of light to carry information through. So I'd love to share a few sounds with Manuela, if that's okay. And to see how, and whoever is watching, if you turn on your psychic senses, not that you need to turn them on, but
I already can see the energy coming in and on your screen.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I can't even control it. It's already like, they hear the message. They hear the message that something is happening.
They're like, she's calling us. Let's go. Everybody's there already.
Feel them? They're like, it's like if I had to imagine them, like, you're gathering a party together. It's like everyone's like, oh, I got the invitation. I'm coming,
Yeah. It's like, let's go.
All right. So we're just going to take 2 minutes to do that. So if you want to allow your eyes to close, and whoever is listening and receiving, actually, let's just open that to be a message for all who listen on whatever it is that they need to see and hear and perceive. And just allowing the mental thoughts and chatter to be on the side, not to judge, not to expect, and allowing the message to come straight into the soul as it needs to. Om Tikia Sakyu. Eya Suti. Morikya. Suha, suha, suha. Suha, suha, Yeta, yeta, yeta. ho. Sa he sa yao. Ya te ya tu sa ke ye su ta ya su te ya su ta ho. Ya tu re. Every time I tone, it's like I never know what sounds are actually going to come. It's a mystery to me as well. How was that for you?
Thank you. That was beautiful. Yeah, it was really, it's interesting when you do this because it's really like I understand it on a soul level, but then when I have to put it into words, it's almost like hard to grasp the words. But it was interesting when you were still talking, you had like all this really white, misty energy coming in, and the white serpents and white dragons. And then when you start singing, it was this really beautiful, powerful dragon, but it was more like mama dragon, sort of like, yeah, I would say mama dragon, but earth, cosmos at the same time, just saying in a way, don't take life so serious. It's literally, you're an infinite being, and this life is just one day out of infinity. So what are you worrying so much? Just have more fun, do the things that you want to do, enjoy. And yeah, in that sense, as I say, it's always a bit tricky for me to put it into words, but she was just like there, guarding, providing, not expecting
Yeah.
anything, just allowing. And yeah, that reminder that life is literally just like one day out of infinity, and you're, yeah, should
Just have a
enjoy it
little
more.
fun.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You're where you're meant to
beautiful.
be, so don't stress too much. And
Yeah,
yeah.
and that sounds like a message probably for everyone who's listening, you know, um, and to also add to this, I think when we are bringing through energies, wherever you are, whatever grade, whatever dimension, the part of you that resonates, the part of your consciousness that is ready to receive that message will be received. And I've done this as a bit of mm, investigation and exploring for myself. The same transmission, I sent it to a few of my lightworker friends, and each one of them received something actually completely different.
Mm,
And
yeah.
um, yeah, my understanding of that is it's because it's not just one message, right? Like everything has so many different facets. Just like the white light has so many facets of colors that, it's the rainbow colors that come together in that wholeness. So that one sound probably has, 100 messages to the 100 people that might be listening. And I guess that's also a reminder to myself not to be attached to the one thing your teacher says, or the one teacher. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And also, when you're on the right path, I think there's that resonance of when it's the truth for you. So not every message or not everything is going to be for everyone. And that's also what Qigong's helped me as well, right? It's like really to discern, my BS meter has really clicked on a lot stronger,
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
strongly. And that's what I'm
Yeah.
like, really trusting in the embodiment and flow of information, and knowing that we all have gaps. Yes, I can work on my psychic senses more, but it doesn't mean that the things are not happening. It's happening. There's a
Mm.
trust in it. I don't know what beings are there, but I do know the white dragon wanted to come in today. Yeah, so that's what I think. Any tips or any, yeah, advice that you give to people aspiring to build their energy more?
Um, well, I would say a good thing is to start building the ball, and really feel that energy, because once you feel the energy, it's literally easy to play and expand from there. And also with the psychic abilities, if you find the gate or the one sense that works best for you, and then you start working with that, and then you go to the more difficult ones. But interesting enough, you said that you have, the inner knowing, and the inner knowing you literally can only get when the other five senses are all working.
Yeah,
um,
like what's up with that? So for example, the same toning, let's just look at this for a sec. So the same message. So I was in it, right? So what did I feel? So at least just on a superficial level, it did feel like, I saw the spherical and the white energy and I can see it around us still, and it was very nurturing. It was very holding, like it's almost like it's holding space for all to be and all that is to
hmm.
come. So I didn't get that much of the sense of the playfulness of it, but I did get that very nurturing, holding kind of energy to be like, all is possible, dear child, like roam and have free. Like if I were to put a voice to it, that's what it would sound
Mm.
like. But when I ask, okay, did I hear anything? Did I feel its vibration? Like I don't perceive it on that level, at least not now. I really do have to train those other senses to get that level of information.
Yeah, well, it depends where it comes from, because you have the astral level you can tune in, you have the mental level, then you have akashic levels and other dimension places, realms, whatever you want to call them. So it's almost like you have to tune to where it
Mm,
comes from. But then what I found as well is, it's almost, if you look at a crystal, a crystal has so many different faces depending on which one you look at. And
that's right.
might be looking at it from this way, you're looking at it from this way. We're looking at the same thing, but we're seeing different things. And I experienced
Absolutely.
this as well when I was training with, there was another very psychic medium in one of the classes.
Mm,
So we would see the same, deities, beings, the same thing happen, but I would see things that he wasn't seeing, and then he was able to see things that I wasn't able to see. But it was beautiful because we could fill each other's gaps. Um,
mm,
and so even you had the same deity there, the same energy was
mm.
happening. Um, there were still things I could not perceive and he could perceive, and the other way around as well.
Yeah.
So
And look,
yeah,
that's a beautiful reminder as well to people. Like we all have a unique place to take in the world. Our
exactly. Yeah, look at
specific
your past, like who
vibration.
knows what your path is and where you've
Yeah.
been and experienced. So yeah,
Mm.
only one you.
Only one of us.
I
Well,
know,
in the
only one of
multiverse
you in the
anyway.
whole universe. Imagine that, like,
I think
yeah.
that's enough.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, yes, do the chi ball breathing. I think Manuela had released a video about that as well, which was excellent. So you can find that, I think, on her YouTube and her Instagram. So I'll leave all the links to connect to Manuela below. It sounds like we might need to do a qigong and psychic development course together. I think that
Yeah,
would
I think that would be
I'm like,
exciting.
because
So
we've
I
been we've
love
been brainstorming
that.
about like, oh, what should we, put out there? So, and this is a beautiful thing, in the tapestry of being uniquely who we are and how we come together as a collective as well. It's like everybody has a different piece, whatever that piece is. And once you connect more to widening your channel, bringing more energy, being more on your path, you gain clarity on what's your unique piece and what do you bring. And you do not have to bring everything. And this is the part of me trusting as well, like, well, maybe I bring, I don't know, the toning part or the expression, or the speaking, because, that's what I love to do. But I really would love Manuela's piece if I could just elaborate, more on my psychic senses. But my point is, we can work together with others, collaborating, weaving our energies together so that we can find our pieces of wholeness and, be that sphere. So that's kind of my last little message. I'm delighted to have you here. I'm sure we'll chat again on the podcast, and I'm going to share all of Manuela's links so you can connect with her as well. I'm announcing it. I'm seeding this energy into the ether already that you're going to watch out for a Qigong and psychic development course from us.
Yeah, sounds good.
And yeah, anything else you want to share to whoever's listening before we sign off?
I think I just wanted to share, just say, be who you are. Don't put pressure on yourself. Yeah, there's nothing you have to do or be. Everything is just, yeah, find the way it is. And if you set your goals, if you know what you want, or even if you just know how you want to feel, like the energy will come in. So, yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you for that wisdom, Manuela, and our beautiful chat and sharing energy together as always. So we'll share all the links. Stay in touch with us. Look out for what we offer. Qigong has transformed our lives, as I'm sure it will transform yours if you begin doing more of that. And blessings to all. Have a bit of fun. Don't be too serious. And we'll see you again in another episode. Thanks, Manuela.
Thank you so much for having me, Katara. Much love to you.